the day London learned to price time. It began with a question so simple that most dismissed it without thought. What is time worth? Not in poetry, not in philosophy, but in the blunt world of commerce where every hour lost carried a cost. The question surfaced quietly in counting rooms and wharfside offices, yet it held the power to reshape the city more profoundly than any coin or charter. London was expanding faster than its systems could keep up. Trade routes multiplied. Capital flowed in unpredictable waves. Merchants found themselves juggling delays that eroded profit long before goods reached their final buyers. And beneath every frustration lay the same silent truth. Time was not infinite. It was being treated as though it had no measurable value at all. That is why this moment mattered. To understand how London became the financial center it is today, we must return to an era when the city confronted the hidden costs that governed every transaction. An era when the old ways of waiting, hoping, and guessing could no longer sustain a world moving with accelerating ambition. At first, the shift came as a series of practical observations. Traders noticed that a late shipment could ruin a season. Bankers observed that a delayed repayment weakened far more than a single agreement. Captains saw that hesitation at the docks could transform profit into loss before their cargo ever touched land. These were small signals, faint but persistent, pointing toward a truth no one yet dared to articulate. Time itself was becoming a commodity. The reveal began when early financiers started comparing the timelines of transactions. They studied how long it took for money to return from voyages, how quickly obligations circulated, how efficiently capital could be used before it dulled into stagnation. What had been intuition became insight, and insight in London rarely stayed idle. Quietly, they began attaching value to time, treating it not as an inconvenience but as a measurable force. If money was locked away for months, it was no longer whole. If capital moved swiftly, it grew. These ideas spread in murmurs, tentative at first, then with growing confidence, as the city sensed a new logic emerging beneath its old practices. But with every revelation came tension. If time had value, then delay carried a price. If delay carried a price, someone had to pay it. And London was about to discover that this single idea would rewrite the balance between debt, credit, ambition, and obligation forever. The realization that time held measurable value began to spread through London like a quiet revelation. At first, it moved only among those who spent their days watching numbers shift across ledgers. Financiers, moneylenders, and merchants who understood how impatience and delay shaped every deal. But soon, the concept seeped beyond private discussions and into the broader fabric of the city's commerce. Early innovators started tracking the pace at which money circulated. They noted how capital tied up in slow ventures lost its sharpness, weakening the investor long before profits returned. They observed how debts that lingered too long became heavier than the metal that backed them. These observations, once seen as trivial, grew into a new language, one that measured opportunity not by distance or cargo, but by time withheld or time released. Yet the moment these ideas began to solidify, friction appeared. Traditionalists resisted the notion that time could influence value. To them, money was defined by weight, rarity, and authority, not by the calendar. They argued that impatience was a merchant's flaw, not a mathematical principle. But the city itself contradicted them. Ships delayed by storms lost markets. Loans repaid late weakened entire networks. Every corner of commerce whispered the same truth, regardless of who wished to ignore it. As this tension grew, a new challenge emerged: how to assign a fair price to time. If waiting carried a cost, what was that cost? Should it reflect the risk incurred, the opportunity lost, the burden shifted from one party to another? The debates grew heated, especially in London's coffee houses, where early financiers clashed with veterans of the old system. Some argued that the price of waiting should mirror the potential gains forfeited elsewhere. Others warned that such reasoning opened the door to manipulation, a world where powerful moneylenders could charge exorbitant fees simply because they controlled access to time itself. The moral questions were as sharp as the economic ones. Was it just a profit from another's urgency? Or was it necessary for the health of a system built on constant motion? These debates intensified as more traders adopted the emerging logic. They began offering terms that reflected not just risk or distance, but duration. Slow ventures demanded greater return. Fast ones offered lower reward but higher certainty. A subtle shift in thinking took hold. Capital had a rhythm, and the faster it moved, the stronger the entire city became. But as the idea spread, it also awakened anxiety. If time could be priced, then delay became debt. Hesitation became liability. For some merchants already struggling under the weight of unpredictable voyages and uncertain markets, this new cost felt like an added burden they were not prepared to carry. And beneath these growing tensions, London edged closer to a conflict that would reveal whether the city could embrace a financial system where value flowed not only through goods and metal, but through the passing of every hour. The tension surrounding the price of time spread through London with a force no one could ignore. What had once been a quiet shift in thinking now pressed against every corner of commerce. Markets grew sharper. Contracts lengthened. Agreements that once hinged only on trust and metal now carry clauses that measure value in days, weeks, entire seasons. Time had entered the negotiation, and it refused to remain silent. The first cracks appeared among merchants whose ventures depended on long, uncertain voyages. They had survived storms, piracy, and distant politics. But this new expectation felt different. It was invisible, relentless, and impossible to bargain with. A delay caused by weather could now double the cost of a loan. A ship held at a foreign port could erode profits long before cargo touched English soil. For many, the calendar itself had become an adversary. Financiers, meanwhile, saw the world through a new lens. With every calculation, they uncovered patterns that had been hidden in plain sight. The faster money returned, the stronger a business became. The slower it moved, the more fragile it grew. They began to model these cycles, turning intuition into method. As their insights sharpened, their influence deepened. Those who understood the price of time gained leverage over those who still struggled to grasp it. This imbalance fueled rising frustration. Merchants accused financiers of exploiting delays beyond their control. Financiers argued that time itself imposed costs no agreement could ignore. The debate fractured old alliances. Friends became rivals. Partners questioned one another's motives as the city strained under competing visions of fairness and necessity. The conflict intensified when a series of voyages ran late due to political turmoil abroad. Markets stalled. Payments faltered. Merchants pleaded for leniency, insisting that no calculation could account for turmoil half a world away. But lenders held firm. Their models warned that bending the rules risked destabilizing the entire system. And as interest on delayed debts climbed, desperation spread. In taverns along the docks, anger simmered. Accusations flew that financiers were profiting from misfortune, that they had turned time into a chain wrapped around the neck of every honest trader. Whispered plans emerged, some calling for new regulations, others for resistance against lenders who seemed to grow stronger with every passing day. The tension reached a boiling point when several major merchants, strained by late voyages and mounting time-based charges, approached collapse. Their downfall threatened to drag dozens of smaller traders with them. Payments froze across the city. Shipments stalled. Panic coursed through markets that depended on motion to survive. It was then that London realized a truth no one had dared speak aloud. By pricing time, the city had created a system both brilliant and dangerous, one capable of powering explosive growth, but also capable of crushing anyone who fell behind its tempo. And as London hovered on the edge of crisis, the question deepened into something far larger than commerce alone. Could a city built on ambition learn control of force as unforgiving as time? The breaking point arrived when the mounting delays of several major voyages pushed London's financial system beyond its limits. Debt spiraled as the cost of time, once an abstract notion, tightened around merchants already strained by unpredictable winds, foreign unrest, and the sheer distance their goods had to travel. Each overdue repayment triggered another, pulling entire networks of credit into dangerous alignment. When one of the city's largest trading houses announced it could no longer meet its obligations, panic flooded London's markets. Crowds gathered outside counting rooms. Messengers dashed through narrow streets, carrying news of missed payments. Rumors spread faster than facts, and in a city now attuned to the price of time, even a whisper could shift fortunes. Merchants pleaded for extensions. Lenders recalculated their risks with eyes sharpened by fear. The system built to capture opportunity had transformed into a force threatening collapse. Yet in the midst of this turmoil, something essential became clear. Time was not merely a cost. It was a measure of discipline. Without structure, without boundaries, it became a weapon that could cut deeper than any shortage of silver or storm at sea. The crisis exposed every weakness the city had ignored. Contract without safeguards, loans without buffers, ventures planned with more optimism than prudence. The response that followed reshaped London forever. Financiers and merchants, once adversaries in heated debate, began crafting new frameworks born out of necessity. They formalized the concept of interest, giving the price of time defined rules rather than chaotic reactions. They designed schedules that aligned risk with duration, ensuring no one bore the burden blindly. Institutions emerged to enforce these principles, creating stability where chaos had threatened to spread unchecked. The transformation was not immediate, nor was it welcomed by all. But as the system matured, London discovered its true power. By learning to measure time, the city learned to command it. Capital began moving with unprecedented rhythm, swift where it needed momentum, cautious where danger lingered. Ventures once impossible became viable. Expansion accelerated. A global financial identity took shape. Through crisis, London had gained revelation. Time is a quiet architecture behind every act of commerce. To ignore it is to invite collapse. To harness it is to unlock potential no metal alone could ever support. Sometimes a change in how we measure the world becomes a moment that reshapes it entirely.